time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
Yes, indeed. Good afternoon on this lovely Thursday in Edmonton. Welcome to Two Guys and a Goalie. Tom Gazzola in for Dusty Nielsen, Matty Kassian, and Joaquin Gage with you. As always, Two Guys and a Goalie presented by GS Construction, setting the industry standard for 50 years with quality, efficiency, and safety driving their success. GS Construction has a foundation built on teamwork, and now they want you to become a part of the team. Visit www.gsconstruction.ca and click Ready to Work on their page if you visit at indeed.ca as well. And with the Next Person Up program at GS Construction, it's not just a job, it's a career. Good afternoon, boys. It's been a while since Two Guys and a Goalie has hit the airwaves. What a lovely Tuesday we all had together. How you guys holding up?
Yeah, and you know what, Tom? I'm in a state of shock in this moment.
Why?
An absolute state of shock. I have never seen you wear a T-shirt.
Like, actually, just in general?
Actually, in general, I have never seen you wear a T-shirt. So I'm emotionally trying to, or psychologically and emotionally, I guess, just trying to come to terms with this.
Oh, well, I'm sorry I put you through this, Cass. But it's one of those like comfy, baggy ones.
Just like, yeah, no, I know, and I'm like, it's not fitted, it's not like Gucci, so I'm just like, oh man.
It's nice. It was given to me by a friend who all he wears is high-end clothing. So, but it's not Gucci. No, it's nothing like that at all. Gager, are you rattled by that? You've seen me in a T-shirt, I feel like, but it's very casual, very warm in here. So.
I'm just happy to see you after the week you've had. Unbelievable to keep her going here.
I'll tell you what,
a true warrior, Tommy.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. What a few days it's been. Huge thank you to everybody who was involved with the golf tournament. And anything stand out to you guys from the tournament outside of, I don't know, anything in general? What was the highlights for you guys?
Let me know. People, let me know if my mic levels are better. I tried replugging everything in, so we'll see. I got to golf with Norman Combine and his boys, and we had a blast. It was a ton of fun. Just a great group of guys. It was just a great time. Like, it's just a fun day. Hot day,
yes,
but a fun day. I had a blast. I know
yes.
you guys did too, but it was a great day. Even though Tommy, I don't know if you've got over your whole phone thing yet, if it's working now, and if you feel better about it.
Yes, we got it sorted out yesterday.
Yeah, it was a good day.
Oh boy, Gager, you had your daughter there. It looked like she was having a good time, and you looked like you were having a good time with the great group as well. What'd you like?
Well, great group. Having my daughter there was a blast too. She was funny. Was kind of asking questions about the beer cart girl. And going, she probably makes a lot of money, huh?
Probably.
Yes, she does. He goes, yeah, I might want to get a job here later, Dad. And I was like, oh, okay. I know a guy. And so but I think the highlight of the whole day was we were finishing up on, obviously you start a little bit at a different hole, or started a different hole, but we was coming up 18, I believe. And YouTube Trev was coming up 9, and obviously had been all into the birdie booze.
Yes,
a little bit with some 6 o'clockers, and it was so funny because I could see him, and I said, "Hey, Trev," and he goes, and it was like we met for the first time, and he was in his cart alone driving up the hill. He goes, "Hey, that's Joaquin Gage," and he goes, "Hey, Joaquin," and then he kept driving, and I think I heard it goes, "That's my buddy right there," and I was just like, I was just laughing, just watching him go up there, talking to himself, saying hi to me, and talking to himself basically too. So it was, and then at the end of the night, I had to get going a little bit early. Would have liked to have stayed, but my daughter had some commitments. As you know, she's on a plane right now, getting on a plane to go to LA. But we had to get some extra things done. but past Trev, he was sitting outside during the banquet eating his meal, and just like the biggest smile on his face. And I go, and that's when the birdie boos really kicked in. Like he was smash right there.
Yes.
It might have been smash. And he just gave me the wave and goes, "See you later, Gager."
Oh, man.
Just so much happiness in that kid. So that was I guess the whole thing was fantastic. But Trev, the way that you participated in it, what was a great event. I think Dusty said something like, it was like we've been doing that for every year for years. Like it didn't have a feel of an inaugural thing, right? Mm-hmm. It was don't call it a comeback. It's been there for years. That's what that was the slogan. Can't wait for next year. It's probably going to be 36 though.
Yeah, let me know if this sounds better now.
I think it does, Cass.
Okay, good. Yeah. I told this to my wife when I got home. I was just like, one of my favorite things about it, and I'm like, and it's one of the things that just makes me smile, and it should make us all smile, is just like, even after when everyone's doing the prizes and everyone's chanting like names of or like the tag names of everybody when they're going up there. So if like for Norm in a combine, for example, and it's just like it people getting to connect, like putting faces to names.
Yes.
So it's like seeing who's who. And it just, to me, I'm just like, it's just like, it's a little community, right? It's like a little special group or a big special group that everyone kind of knows each other, but you don't necessarily know each other face to face, but having that opportunity to get together and, it's like you're part of the cool club, everyone getting to be there, like part of the nasty club, as it were. But it was just so cool for me to see those relationships and see a couple of people like, oh, like even with Norm, like, oh, you're Norm, like, it's just cool. It just brings a ton of fun moments for me that just make me smile, because it's like, it's a special thing. And Gage, I completely agree. It's like it's been going on for 15 years, right? But but it's been one, which is I don't know. It's beautiful. It's cool. It's great. It just makes me smile. So it's a ton of fun. Joel's in and says we're a cult. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Yeah.
Whard Stern, like I used to listen to him regularly on a regular basis, and I think it's the same type. He calls it the whack pack, but it's everyone included. Like you hear. I mean, Tom, with your parents are there. Like we have an insight. People know your dog's name. They and so even though half of these people, like you said, Cass, haven't met each other, it's like they've been communicating for years. It's just the barrier of the two-dimensional screen or listening device is gone now, and that's a special thing to not only you guys, like everyone at EST have cultivated over a year, but, and I mean over more than a year, but the fact that all these people, like, I don't think anyone had a bad time. I didn't see anyone without a smile on their face. Even like Murray, this was another thing. Murray was great because I'm walking out and he calls me over and I just want to say, hey, Murray, this is great, man. And he goes into this whole thing. My wife made me a burger. Just like, because it was half pork, half meat. I go, oh really? And he goes, it was delicious. So he was like, just all these little subtle things. I wish if I stayed longer, it probably would have got out of control for me. So good thing I left. But it was awesome, man. It is.
Just one more note on that, Tommy. Sorry to jump in.
No,
but
go.
Like,
this is great.
I think one of the big things with it is like everyone has something in common. Right, like, because everyone's so different, and there are people, different jobs, from blue collar to white collar, different backgrounds, different beliefs, different thoughts. But it's kind of like EST in a lot of ways is a unifier. It's like, well, everyone's there because they're fans and they like listening and they enjoy interacting, and it's just like, so no matter where you come from, you have something in common. So it's great. I mean, I love it. It's fun.
Such a great day, great afternoon on the course, everybody. I'll reiterate everything you guys said. And then Lars says it right in the nasty chat. He just says so much happiness, and then in brackets, and booze. And nailed it. Yes, absolutely. And the heat and all of that, the camaraderie was phenomenal, top to bottom. And then YTT says, let's go, Gager. I was so pumped to see you. He's so sweet and innocent, you know?
He is. He's just. Oh.
Yeah.
I wish I recorded it, man. It was so funny. Like he goes back up. There's Gager, my buddy.
Yeah. You know what?
Oh.
With YTT is just, and Gager, you would confirm this, and you too, Tommy. Is it's super genuine.
Yes.
Right. Like it's just big smile. It's not a fake smile. It's a real smile, and I love it. It's great.
Yeah. Norman at Combine says, I had a blast with you, Matt, on Tuesday. Thank you. So, yes, it was so much fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
Love it. And I love like the smiles and the laughter and the storytelling afterwards is the best part on top of a fantastic day. So, without further ado, boys, because we got to recap and enjoy, we plow through. We get to the end of the week, and I mean it's getting a lot quieter, obviously, in hockey. But there's some stuff to get onto, and I think we're going to start with the Big Mamas and Papas Pizzeria Bigger and Hotter headline. I've got one for today, and I want to get your take on this. Of course, BFPP, a real pizzeria restaurant, not just a delivery pizza chain, serving authentic Italian cuisine with their made-in-house pizza dough, traditional tomato sauce, and fresh toppings. Each pizza is cooked to perfection. A pizza experience you've been waiting for. Visit them at 12848 97th Street. Order today at bmppe.ca or call 587-746-0550. Gager, they opened the one up by your place too, right? Is that right? Or no?
I think he's froze.
Oh, Gage froze.
I know they did. They did.
They did, okay.
Because he was talking about it the other day. Yeah. So they got Big Mamas, Big Papas by Gager's house. He hasn't. I don't think he's tried the little boat things yet. I haven't either, but I'm excited to at some point.
Okay, the boat thing I've heard about, but explain it to me into those that might not have known what the boat thing is yet.
Well, it's like a little pizza boat. It's got an egg in it, and it looks like it's delicious.
Right. The pizza boat.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
Yeah, and for the record, like I don't know if you're one of those people, Tommy. I know I am. Like there are some foods that are fantastic if you throw like a fried egg on top of them. Like,
yeah.
It just makes it so much better. Sometimes burgers, a lot of Asian foods that I love Asian food.
Yeah.
And like
Same.
I love Thai food. And it's like you get like some good Thai food and you drop a fried egg in there. It's just spectacular. And kind of feel like some Italian food is the same thing, right? You just get that runny yolk, that extra fat that doesn't make it any healthier for you, but it just makes it more delicious, and it's great. So yeah, I'm excited to try one of those at some point.
The pizza boat. All right, go check out Big Mama, Big Papa's Pizzeria, and our Bigger, Hotter headline for today is, and I'll get it to Gager when he reconnects here, but Leon Draisaitl is engaged, Cass. That's big news. That's important. It's a game changer, I'm assuming. I've never been married. I've never been in a relationship that's lasted that long, but I don't know. Should we be surprised? Is this good? How does this affect his life moving forward? You're married. You've got three wonderful daughters. I don't want to say it's a normal part of life, but it's not like this is something completely crazy. I mean, it's good. Good for him. Hopefully they have a really, really expensive wedding. Oh, they will.
Hopefully they have a really cheap wedding, and then he won't need as big of a contract. That would be good. So
that wishful thinking, listen, I think.
Yeah, it's a progression that's not uncommon. For guys to go through. We see Big David go through it. Now Leon's on the same path. I mean, as players get older, it's not infrequent that this is something that happens. So hey, good for him. Want to wish them obviously all the best, and hopefully a lot of years in Edmonton. So, does this impact his desire to stay here? Maybe. Hard to say exactly on that, but yeah, I mean, hey, congrats to him. Hopefully they plan the wedding for late next summer. That would be ideal.
Timing. Interesting.
Yeah.
Gager, welcome back to the program. We got everything sorted out there. The Bigger, Hotter headline for today is Leon Draisaitl's engagement to Celeste Desjardins, which is big news for him. And having watched him basically grow up in Edmonton from the time he was 17, 18 years old to now, it's nice to see. She looks like a fantastic girl, and now all of a sudden he makes the proposal, and the next chapter of his life can begin. And like Cass was saying, the timing, it could be a big year and a big summer for Leon next year. But what do you make of Draisaitl popping the question, and how did that change your life when you got married, and how do you think that'll affect his life going forward? Oh, did Gager? Did
He
we
may
lose
have
him?
froze again.
He froze again.
Connection problems. That's
Oh,
all right.
no.
That's all right. I mean, I can answer. I didn't answer that for me.
Oh, okay, yeah,
I can
okay.
answer that. I'll give
Go
a
for
Cole's,
it.
I'll give a Cole's notes. I'll give a Cole's notes version because
Sure.
every relationship is different. But for me, it was and I tell young guys this. I probably have told you this, but it's like that marriage commitment's it's a big one.
Yeah.
Marriage is wonderful, or can be wonderful. It's also hard. It's something that takes a lot of work and a lot of growth. It's kind of the next step, I would say. It's call it the sanctification process, and that you realize a little bit more how selfish you really are and about how many things you have to work on as a person and as an individual. And then, kids just up that even more. You kind of go from being for me, a single guy, you do what you want when you want, to having a little bit more accountability in a relationship, to having more accountability when you make the decision to move forward with the engagement. And then for us, we didn't live together before we were married, and then transitioning into that marriage standpoint where it's like you really learn a lot about how selfish you are. And then maybe that's a good thing. Maybe from a personal development for Leon, it'll just allow a good amount of self-reflection and self-growth, and he'll just grow as an individual, grow as a man, and grow as a teammate, and someone in the dressing room that just continues to improve as a person and as an athlete. So it's a great, wonderful thing. Marriage is hard, but it's wonderful if you work at it, and if you have two people that are both willing to work at it. And it's good. There's my marriage plug and my I guess my 2 cents or 5 cents, maybe 10.
I will say this: the selfishness part, I really enjoy. So, but I like how you call it out, and that is what it is. The other thing that comes to us via the nasty chat is from McDoust, who says clearly Draisaitl is ready to commit, not just to Celeste, but to the Oilers as well. And I mean, really, I don't know, Cass. Like, I feel like he's going to stick around, and obviously that's something that's going to be top of everyone's mind after all the free agent signings and the McLeod trade, which we still need to talk about because we haven't had a chance to do it on this show yet. But, I have always felt that he wants to stay here. I don't think anything that has happened on the ice, and then even off the ice, for the most part, it's been pretty good, pretty smooth here for him. And I don't know what would force him to want to leave. And, people would say maybe an extra $1 million or $2 million each year. But I feel like he'll probably be fulfilled that way here regardless.
I think he would be, but it's still a business, right?
Yes,
and as an
of
athlete,
course.
you are your business. And so it's like, well, if you look at it, and I'll just use Florida as an example. Again, I lean towards he probably wants to resign here. He's probably going to stay here.
Mm-hmm.
Most likely. They're going to offer him a lot of money. He's going to be able to have, the extra year with re-signing in Edmonton from a length of contract time, which makes a big difference. Having that extra year is big, going from 7 years to 8, especially at high dollar value numbers, because it's not like, signing 7 years, if you don't know where your body's going to be, where your life is going to be at the end of the 7 years. And so getting that extra year at a very high dollar number can be more beneficial. But, if you look at $10 million, and I'm just going to say 10 because it's an easy round number, you'll get way more than that. But if you look at $10 million in Alberta, in Edmonton, or $10 million in Florida, well, $10 million in Florida is significantly more because just from a tax standpoint. So, you're not necessarily just looking at $1 million a year difference. You could be looking at really $2 to $3 million a year difference. And over 7 years, that's $21 million. That's significant. And yes, you're happy here. Yes, you enjoy it here. But realistically, you have to look at it and say, okay, for my life, for now I'm engaged, looking at for my family, for if we're going to have kids, or if we're able to do that or want to do that, whatever the plan ends up being, for future generations, we now have more. And so it's I would love to say it's just as simple as him signing here, but I think there is more that goes into it than that, and there is stuff he's going to consider. Again, I think he does sign here. I think he wants to be here. I think he wants to win. But realistically, he has to really consider, okay, well, I have to look at what I could make elsewhere and what that potential market could be. Because if it's significantly more than Edmonton, if someone's willing to throw millions more at me per year, you know.
Here's a question on that topic. And this comes in from Penner's Pancakes and McDoust asking this along the same lines. And I'm curious, they're both saying, is a $100 million lifestyle different than a $115 million lifestyle?
Well, from a life, it depends on what you spend. So yes.
Yeah.
And again, it's not, you have to think generationally with this. You have to think generationally with it. Like this, it's not just one generation. You're thinking being able to take care of future generations of your family from a provision standpoint. Like, I mean, if you want to go ask CEOs of some of the biggest companies in the world or entrepreneurs that have started the biggest companies in the world, you know, they would tell you there's a difference and more is always better. A lot of them would. And I'm not saying that's true, that more is always better. I don't think that that's true. In fact, I would argue the opposite. But the reality is that's significant. Yeah, okay. When we look at it, say, okay, well, there's a big difference between 115 and 110. Well, yeah, you're going to be able to buy groceries with either amount. Right, you're going to have a place to live with either amount. You're not going to be walking around on the street, you know, with grocery bags and cats following you. Like you're not. You're going to be okay. But from a generational standpoint, I mean, that is a significant amount. And for future generations and growth and all that, it's like, you know, that is significant. That is significant. So, yeah, there is a difference between that. Not necessarily in what you're spending on a day-to-day, but with whatever you're able to put away, what you're able to invest for the future, for yourself and your family, whether it be in businesses or invest, like wherever the money goes. Yes, it does make a difference.
Yeah. Okay. Gager's back. And Gager, you're in finance as well as Cass. You guys both played, and obviously, you know, the type of money that Draisaitl has made and is on the cusp of making is incredible, obviously. But we were talking to as well in the break or while you were away that how does this change his life being engaged and getting married and that next chapter, and if that is the next evolution of Leon Draisaitl, the person. And then, you know, people hope that on the ice he continues to be the same type of power forward superstar player that he has been. How do you kind of see this?
Well, add-ons to your villa in Mallorca aren't
there
cheap,
it is.
Tommy. So,
yes, in España.
No, like I love what Cass said there, right? Like you're getting into the conversation of more estate future planning, and one of the most difficult things, and obviously I don't talk to a lot of people in Leon's stratosphere with their making that much in their early 20s. But to have that conversation of what you're going to do later is difficult because they don't, you know, they I'm sure, I don't know for you, Cass, but I felt like when I hit like 28, 29 in hockey years, I felt like I was an old man. You know, you're considered older at that point. It's not until you get out, you know, of hockey and maybe hopefully in your mid 30s, you know, and you get out and you realize, wow, I'm a really young guy still, and there's a lot of runway left. So, you know, Chris Pronger, he does a little financial hits or tips for, I think, geared towards hockey players and stuff. And he had a really good one. He said, if you're in the NHL, you're an established player, don't go out and buy the cottage, the big cottage, it's Muskoka. It's all he wanted, granted at that time, but you're only there for 2 weeks of the summer. You're paying all this down. You don't get a chance to enjoy it. He said, keep renting. You can afford it. It's not a big deal, and keeps stocking your assets away, essentially, which makes sense. But everyone's different. But again, that's up to Leon. How does he look at his future? You know, living in Europe's a lot different than living in North America. right? So
Right. Yeah.
I'm guessing that he's probably going to. I don't think he would retire in North America, or I'm sure at some point he'll be back in Europe. Possibly, I don't know. Usually that's the case with most of these guys, European guys.
It depends. You're marrying a Canadian too. Like there's
that's too, like, it could go both ways, right? It could land on either side of the fence there. Who knows? So, but again, that's a lot of money, and if it seems like he has good people around him, that that he's not going to be one of those guys signing autographs on the corner for $5, but. That's the question you have to ask him as a team. You have to get into those deeper conversations of future. What do you want? How do you see the future? How can we help get you there? Right. Yep. I think that's important. Not only just the hockey side. It has to be more of a conversation, like I want to say business, but it's a lot more than just on the hockey side.
If Joaquin Gage could offer Leon Draisaitl, the soon-to-be husband, a bit of advice, even to McDavid, what would Joaquin Gage say?
Oh, just enjoy your time together, because when I was lucky enough with my wife. I went to Europe right away, and she came with me, so we essentially lived our lives in reverse. Not that, when I come back, you got the real world starts. We were together every day, gallivanting around Europe, right? Like you're at the rink, you work for a few hours, you come home, enjoy your time together. That's what I say. Hockey's a great way to find out, especially with your significant others, if you're compatible, because you're around all the time. Once you're done, maybe there's a job, work, kids, everything starts unraveling. You try to find that time that you had before. And it becomes increasingly difficult as you progress. And then you're like two meteors, I guess. You come close you go apart and then come back together at one point. But I would say enjoy your time. That's what I would say.
Beautiful. That was the bigger, hotter headlines. Brought to you by Big Mama's and Papa's Pizzeria. Nicely done, boys. Yes, Leon Draisaitl is engaged, and big summer for McDavid, obviously with his soon-to-be wife, and then we'll see when Leon decides to, or whenever the marriage date is.
She said yes?
We're assuming. Yes. I mean, why would you post it if she said no? Well, I proposed, but she said no, but here are the pictures. They're great.
Pretty boss move, though. Like Majorca Beach, had the blanket, the couch, the bubbly, chilled. Yeah, smooth.
Very well done. And beautiful couple. Let's just put it that way. Beautiful couple, and best of luck to them. Okay, we haven't had a chance to catch up on this because it happened, late last week, and the Oilers pulling a Ryan McLeod trade off. What do you guys make of the move to bring Matthew Savoie in? Tyler Tullio goes with McLeod to the Buffalo Sabres. Cass, we'll start with you.
Jackson is a wizard right now. That's my thought. Like, start calling him Gandalf. Like, jeez. Wow. Yeah, you needed to move money out. We had talked on this with Dusty, Tommy, about how it's like if you could get the bar was a third for McLeod. It's like if you get a third for him, you're probably that's okay. Yeah, you're not necessarily loving it, but it's okay. If you get a second for him, you're happy with that. It's like, oh yeah, that was good to get a second with him. You just got the now best prospect in your organization in Matthew Savoie for Ryan McLeod. And I would say far and away. And I know Xavier Bourgault, there's potential there still, but Matt Savoie is above that. He is above that in terms of potential and what he has the capacity to do on the ice. Fantastic trade. I had the chance on the road to watch Matt Savoie play a couple of times this year with Moose Jaw. And from a creative level, he is a guy that has the capacity offensively and thinks the game well enough that he has the ability to play with a McDavid or play with a Draisaitl and to think the game at the same level as him, creatively wise. Has the ability to score, really good on the power play. It was part of an absolutely deadly power play in Moose Jaw. And he's a fantastic young player. So yes, it's, Ryan McLeod was a guy where it's just like we always wanted more to them, and there's still a good player there. He's a good NHL player, Ryan McLeod is, I think. But you were just able to, in a move, bring in your best prospect and move out a guy that you are not really sure has a place for you right now with some of the signings that came in. Mm-hmm. And so you're like, I don't know. It was genius. It was a brilliant move, fantastic move. Whether Matt Savoy plays a year in the minors and starts getting some game up or might take a year still of development. He's not that far away, I don't think, from playing in the NHL. And as I said, he's a guy that is going to be able to play in your top six. He is far and away this organization's best prospect now at this time. I was stunned by the trade. It was a fantastic trade for the Edmonton Oilers. And
everybody's super happy about it, Gager. And Cass, I like that you had some live in-person viewings on Savoy, and you were able to provide that descriptor of him. Okay, so he has a good season in
and
Moose
he's
Jaw.
Local.
And he's local.
Too. And he's local, which is awesome.
He spent the season between three leagues. He was in the Dub, played 23 games there, got his 6 games in with Rochester, had 5 points in the 6 games, and then he did get a call up to Buffalo. He played like 3 minutes and 55 seconds, so
I didn't even give him a chance.
Yeah, he gets a jersey and a day as an NHL player, essentially. I'm not belittling it or anything like that. It's still pretty damn cool, but Gager, to get a guy like that, is it okay? And I know there's not a lot of space on the Oilers roster right now. That roster is pretty much set. Is it okay for a guy who's basically been so good in the WHL, a couple of 90-point seasons already, to just go back and put him into the AHL for a full year?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where it'll probably start, barring any injuries coming out of camp and how well he does in camp, right? So there's a lot of things. But, I was stunned. I think we were all stunned that this move was pulled off. Like Cass said, we thought maybe a 3rd-round pick was that. But to get a actual elite prospect, it was unbelievable. I mean, going back Buffalo with Ryan McLeod, you do get a NHL player with a lot of experience that has elite level speed, right?
Yep.
So it's not he's not a bag of pucks, but
and Buffalo's got, it's important to remember, Gager, too, Buffalo has a pretty stocked pantry full of prospects at forward. Like they have a lot of really good prospects at forward. Yeah.
So and you're getting a plug-in guy, not a guy that you're sending down to Rochester and seeing how he progresses and hopefully he can be in your lineup someday too, right? It's still a crapshoot. We still don't know exactly, but from all signs, seems like the Oilers got another player, or they have another asset to do something, right?
Yep.
If something comes along, like we'll see. I think more so probably by the trade deadline, there could be some assets moved out to really solidify the roster, depending on injuries, how the season goes. It gives whoever GM they hire a lot more like avenues to negotiate when you're finally getting in that window to push for the playoffs and make your team even better.
Yep.
Because they still have to do something on the back end, right? I think we're going to see something eventually here soon, but someone has to come in to replace another player.
Right.
It's going to be very, very complex over the next little while to see how they navigate signing their 2 guys and getting some extra money out.
It is 2 Guys and a Goalie, presented by GS Construction. Tom Gazzola in for Dusty Nielsen. He's on his way to call some CFL action over the weekend. Matty Kassian and Joaquin Gage with you. Text us 780-218-9999 or get into the nasty chat if you're watching on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe to our channel. We're on the march to 10,000 subscriptions, and that is phenomenal. It's been a fun 10 months, 11 months. I can't keep tabs on how long it's been, but we're almost there, boys, at 10,000 subscribers, which is fantastic. Bones chimes in and says, Gager, your gravity is that of a planet, not merely a meteor. Everyone is drawn to you. That's from Bones. That's beautiful.
Yeah, thanks, Bones. More like a black hole, but whatever.
Science, planets, the galaxy, full of mystery. One other thing on the Oilers before we move on to hire it or fire it. Somebody mentioned to me from an organization in the NHL that Edmonton they lost speed with McLeod and Fogle going out. I initially agreed, and then I thought about it a little bit out loud to this person, and I said, well, they did bring in Arvidsson and Skinner. Is that not enough to make up for the lack of sheer speed that went out the door in McLeod and Fogle? What do you think of that, Cass? Do you think the speed thing is going to be a factor?
McLeod and Fogle your key guys?
No.
Like, did McDavid just get slower transporting the puck? Did Draisaitl just get slower transporting the puck? Like, I'm not. They're not. Like, McLeod at times, he transported the puck well because he was fast, he was quick, he was good in the forecheck. But what you're getting with the other players you brought in, I think more than outweigh that. So I'm not concerned. No. I'm not worried.
Gager?
No. Skinner's quick. Okay. And Arvidsson, not as fast as McLeod, still fast, but
he goes to the dirty areas.
But yes, he goes to where you wish McLeod went, right? On a more, I'm not going to say he didn't, but on a regular basis.
Yes,
finishing forechecks, getting into the equipment of the opponents. So I think it's going to completely balance out, because I know what you're saying is sometimes McLeod would come up the ice and go, oh, McDavid's playing with these guys, and then you realize it's McLeod, right? Because sometimes it looked quite similar. But no, I don't think they're the style of play. I think even benefits the Oilers a little bit more with those two.
I don't disagree with that. I like that they got good veteran players in the additions there in Skinner and Arvidsson. All right, let's go to Machine Gun Yanmark, who texts in and says, love the re-signings and wingers added to the top six. I do worry that this team still lacks bite and physicality in the forward group. Hopefully that is looked at once the cap is figured out. Could we see that? Cass, what do you think? And how do you assess the bite and physicality, as Machine Gun Yanmark put it?
I think that, if we're going to look at more than the speed, I think that's a legitimate question to say, okay, do they have enough bite in their game, especially I'm not thinking regular season, but in the playoffs. Do they have enough bite in their game in the playoffs that they're going to be able to push back against teams and handle them? And I think that's legitimate to say that could be something, particularly in the bottom six, you might want to address. Or potentially take a look at, because you don't have a ton of bite. You don't have a ton of guys that are going to be ultra physical on the other team. Now, your response to teams being physical towards you has got to be your power play is absolutely deadly. Can you draw penalties? Can you force physicality out of them because they're concerned about taking penalties? And then from a defender's standpoint, can your D be good enough puck movers and quick enough puck movers that they're just not getting absolutely abused physically to alleviate and eliminate that? And I think that's, probably your answer to it. But it is legitimate to say, I don't know if there's going to be enough physicality in the bottom six. They're going to do some great things. But if this team has a area that they could look to address at some point, it wouldn't shock me if having a little bit of that nastiness is an area that we're talking about over the course of the season.
Gager, how do you see the physical element?
I'm not too worried about it. I mean, look, if you look at the Florida Panthers, they're a very fast, physical team. And I don't think there was a point where the Oilers got run out of the building with their physical play. I think there was, I guess I'd give the check mark on the Florida side. But then, they didn't have Evander Kane in the lineup too.
True.
There's a guy that finishes every check. There are some times after the whistle that he lets other players know what's coming. I and just judging by who they went through the whole playoffs, I don't know what team. I'm trying to think of what team, if they get into a 7-game series, that I'm worried about the Oilers are getting pushed around too much. And I'm just looking at the Western Conference. Guys, I can't see a team in the Western Conference that can really outmuscle the Edmonton Oilers. Like they try, it's I don't think it'll bode well for them.
I don't really see a lot of tough teams out there in the West that come to mind off the top of my head. Cass, anything? Anyone that comes to mind?
No.
Would you say, Cass, maybe Nashville with the guys that I mean,
they lost Trennan. He's gone.
Yeah, they're not.
Janot's gone.
They're not going to be overly like they're a really good team now, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to be like physically run you out of the building type of team. And if we look at playoff teams, like no one like LA maybe a little bit, but we've seen how that goes for the LA Kings.
Yeah.
So, and even then, if they continue to play, and we'll have to see if they continue to play the 1-3-1, that does reduce some of that physicality at times. So yeah, I don't see anybody in the West that's a really big issue for it or massive issue for it. But it does just depend on how teams try to play them. So we'll have to wait and see. Again, that's where I think it's not necessarily going to be a thing in the regular season. It'll be more, okay, what does it look like in the playoffs and with the potential matchups or the actual matchups for what that looks like.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad we're talking about the toughness part because it brings us to hire it or fire it. And I want to get to the first part of it, what does tie into the toughness element of the game. It goes hand in hand, quite honestly. Hire it and fire it, brought to you by GS Construction. GS Construction, hiring now. Become a part of their great team today by visiting gsconstruction.ca on their page on Indeed.ca. And for the past 50 years, the foundation of GS Construction has been built on efficiency, quality, and safety. Take your career to the next level. Join the team at GS Construction. So the first one for hire it or fire it is video emerged of Matt Rempe working with one Georges Laraque at Silent Ice Center. And it was interesting to see the drill they were doing that was captured on video. Basically, Laraque holding one of those practice punching bag pads that boxers use in his own Oilers jersey, and Rempe working on uppercuts. So as Rempe's working on the uppercuts, as I knock down the microphone, is he, now that he's working with Georges Laraque, hire it or fire it, Cass, going to be the toughest guy in the NHL this upcoming season?
Be nice, Cass.
Sorry, I'll just throw a grenade at you.
It's I'll say this, number one, good for him for getting some help with it because he needed it. Always willing, always engaged, obviously causes stir. But when I watched him from a technical standpoint fight, I was like,
yes. Like you and I talked about it one night after a game, I think it was.
It's just like he doesn't know how to use his size.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to use his size. He doesn't know how to use his reach. He doesn't know how to set his feet properly. Technically he's very, very weak from a fighting standpoint. Very, very weak. Like just doesn't know how to protect himself, I would say as well. Like just fights exposed and open. So he needs work. And Georgie and I did a lot of that. We did a lot of that together back in the day on the ice. A lot of that. And George will help him significantly with a whole bunch of it. So I would hesitate to say he's going to be all of a sudden the toughest guy. I think he improved. That being said, there's not a lot of really tough guys anymore. From me, and maybe you should back up a little bit. When I say tough, I mean pure fighting skill, ability. Not there's lots of guys that are tough that aren't great at fighting or haven't done it very much, and that's just not part of the repertoire, and it's not part of very many guys' games anymore. So when I say tough, I'm just going to say, good at fighting is what I'm equating that to. He certainly should improve, with this and with the help, and maybe something clicks. And you've seen that before with, and I have seen that before with guys in the past where they didn't know what they were doing. They got some help, they worked in some things, and all of a sudden they became a lot more scary. And so for him, he has the potential to be that. I don't know if he will. It depends on what he's able to put into practice. And from a fight standpoint, it's one of those things where you can train all you want. To use the old, I think it's a Tyson quote, like everyone's got a plan till you get punched in the mouth. It's like, well, you can train, but that training has to be so embedded in you that when you're in that adrenaline fueled, intensive situation, that you actually have the ability for that to be put into practice and actually do it. So I wouldn't go so far to say he's going to be the toughest guy. So I guess that's fire it. Because I don't think we know that. So I'm going to fire it. I think he will improve a lot. I don't really know who else there is that's going to challenge here. There's not a lot of heavyweights anymore, but he certainly will be better, and he certainly has a potential to, but that takes time. So maybe we see him turn into that this year, but I'm gonna fire it for now.
All right, Gager, hire it or fire it. Matt Rempe working with Georges Laraque will help make him the toughest guy in the NHL.
No, I'll say fire it. More so, I think he should, like, obviously what Cass said, working with George. I find it funny how George, like, from a guy who didn't like fighting, now he's training fighting.
Well, George's perspective on that, I know, Gager has always been like he's teaching him to protect themselves in a lot of way. Yeah. And it's like, well, if he didn't like it, but if you're going to have to do it and it's going to be part of it, you need to do it well. So I don't know. I don't think there's a moral conundrum with that.
I would like to see him be like, if I'm looking around the league, who he should model his game after, and I look at like a Tom Wilson, right? A guy that he initiates. He's not out there. I'd hate to see him just getting put out there to do something silly at a certain point of a game. I always like the tough guys that could play, but also their play got under the skin of the opposing players and forced them to do something. And I think he can do that, right? He has shown a little bit of skill. He can skate, he can hit, huge body. But for him, I think that's what protect yourself, obviously, when you do get into a throw of knuckles. But I think he should try to look more towards that all around player that players just hate to play against, not because he could probably knock your lights out, because I have to go into the corners and watch where I am on the ice on a regular basis when he's out there.
He ran amok against the New Jersey Devils. I think in the 3 games, he got ejected a couple of times, and he played all of like 6 or 7 minutes time on ice, but also had like 70 penalty minutes too.
Yeah.
So there's a guy that's trying to create nothing but hell, for lack of a better term, for the Cross River rivals. But just interesting to see him working with. To me, like, I thought it was just funny seeing George wearing his own jersey.
It's great. He probably signed it and sold it.
I'll be contrary. I'll hire it because I think eventually Rempe becomes and learns Cass how to become better. But that's the long play. Short answer, no. Short answer, fire it. But long term, hire it. I think he'll be the guy that'll be kind of the undisputed champ in the NHL for a while. But like you said, not many takers. And the game's kind of going away from that. So that's interesting. I thought it was kind of funny, and I thought it had a nice tie into our city and a former Oiler who is a legend. Okay. How about this one? The Four Nations Face-Off. We're getting ready for that in 2025. NHL.com has put out a special with projected lineups. They have 4 Oilers on the Canadian roster. Obviously, McDavid. They've got Bouchard on there, and then they included Zach Hyman and Stuart Skinner in this lineup. Hire it or fire it, all 4 of those guys will be on this Four Nations Face-Off Canadian team.
So you got Skinner?
Yep.
Who are the other 2 there, Tommy?
Hyman and McDavid and Bouchard.
Oof. I'm going to hire it.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, you got guys that went to going to the finals helps a lot. I think there's a few lock. Obviously, McDavid's a lock. I think Hyman's a lock. The biggest question mark I would think would be Bouchard of that 4, but with a specialist like that on the power play, and who knows, there's going to be 2 units. Maybe he doesn't play with McDavid, but I think. Just because of what he was able to accomplish in the playoffs, for sure. And how do you not have Stuart Skinner? He's one of the best goalies in the NHL.
It's crazy to say that, isn't it? Considering how much heat there was on him, and we try to remind people he's only in his 2nd year, but he's kind of solidified himself into that upper echelon. It feels like.
Yeah, offensively. Yeah. Yeah, I got to hire it too, guys. Hyman would be the only one where I'm kind of like unsure a little bit. Like there's some uncertainty about it. But it's pretty hard to argue with the number of goals he scored last season.
Yeah.
So it's going to be pretty hard to keep him off there. So I got to hire it because I think it does happen. Bouchard, I think he's going to be in there. McDavid, obviously.
Yeah.
Skinner, you don't have a ton of choices. Goaltending is the one area in Canada where you're like, there's not a ton of different options. And I think Stuart Skinner, with recency bias and taking a team to the Cup final and taking him to 7 games, I think he will be on that roster too. So yeah, I gotta hire it, fellas.
I'm gonna hire it too. I'm with you, boys. Those guys, some of the best in the game right now, and it's crazy what a Stanley Cup final run will do. It changes perceptions, doesn't it, about certain players and certain teams when you get to that last dance, even though they didn't win it. But it changes the way people as a whole look at some players, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I always bug him, but look at Jason Strudwick's career. If he doesn't go to 18 Memorial Cups, he's probably, selling Slurpees at the Circle K right now.
And throwing candies in them. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Just really quickly for reference, this is the projected lineup from NHL.com for Canada at the Four Nations face-off. Barzal, Bedard, Crosby, Hyman, Alexis Lafreniere, McKinnon, Marchand, Marner, McDavid, Point, Reinhart, Sam, Stamkos, and Robert Thomas out of the Blues. On defense, Evan Bouchard, Noah Dobson, Drew Doughty, Cale Makar, Josh Morrissey, Owen Power, Devon Taves. That blue line is sick.
It's a pretty stacked blue line.
That is sick. Goalies, Binnington, Hill, and Skinner. So anything on there, like Alexis Lafreniere, I was talking to Zach to come. He was surprised by that. Bedard, I think, is okay. He's going to be like the next wave, right? So get him in there early. Any other guys on there like, I don't know about that?
Lafreniere was the only one.
Yeah.
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 Probably the only one.
Still some.
And who knows what it is at that point, but
Yep.
yeah.
So some great players on there. That was Hire It or Fire It, presented by GS Construction. I want to end the show with this, boys. We are into the off season. We've got a lot. Well, there's always lots to chew on, and you guys will with Dusty, obviously. But this is a show that we started with the bigger, hotter headlines, brought to you Big Mamas and Big Papa's Pizzeria. And I said, well, Leon Draisaitl is getting married. He got engaged, and mentioned that it was off his villa in Mallorca. It was scenic, great photos. They were dressed immaculately. Photographer, great job with the lighting and all that. What is the best off-season vacation that you guys ever took in your playing days, or what would you recommend?
Jeez. For me, it was never a vacation. I had to go back and start training because I was worried about having a job. I mean, in Vancouver, I would roll up. I guess doing the gross grind multiple times to get into the top. That was always nice and scenic. But that's about it, Tommy. It was not. I wasn't having fun like these other boneheads. Like when I see their $400,000 Mastercrafts and kicking it on the lake. Yeah, that was a different stratosphere.
Oh.
No, it was right back into the pool for me.
Yeah, I was never big on them because you don't get to see your family, and so for me, it's like that's my time to see my family. And so for me, it was just going out to the family cabin and spending time with people there. Like that was it. It wasn't going anywhere super fancy. It was like, no, I could be close here, close to home, see my family and friends and people I love and be close to them. I would say, we did right after we got married, we did Antigua, which was fun,
cool.
A little Caribbean. So that was really nice. Really liked that. But yeah, I was more a cottage guy. So
nice. Love it. Boys, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you for tolerating me in place of Dusty, and enjoy the weekend, my friends. And we'll see you next week.
Absolutely, boys. Sounds good.
There you go. That is this edition of Two Guys and a Goalie, brought to you by GS Construction. For Joaquin Gage and Maddie Kassian, I'm Tom Gazzola saying we'll talk to you tomorrow. Ciao for now.